Now, I see this rumor online this week. This was like one of the big rumors of the week that Seth Rollins may be challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, and he should. Hopefully, this rumor becomes reality, and he does challenge for the Universal title at SummerSlam. And it should not be title for title. I'm not interested in Universal title versus IC title. They should get the IC title. If this happens, they should get the IC title off of him before then, if that is the plan, and they should put that Universal Championship on Seth Rollins at SummerSlam because he is the man right now in this company. Lesnar has held that title hostage long enough. I have no desire to see a repeat of WrestleMania with them trying Roman Reigns in that spot yet again, because I don't care, I guess. I don't buy into this whole storyline of, oh, it's the Authority against Roman, right? Management is out to get me. Even though it kind of seems like they are, right? Because he got screwed at WrestleMania. I say screwed. I mean, if we're talking storyline, he got beat fair and square. But, you know, everybody thought Roman was going to win. I thought Roman was going to win. And then Brock just basically beat him clean. And then you're like, oh, all right, well, maybe in Saudi Arabia they're going to put the championship on him and he'll get a nice reaction overseas. And they didn't do it there either. Maybe management really does not want the championship on Roman Reigns. But as far as the storyline, oh, you know, I'm not Vince McMahon's boy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You don't have to be a quote-unquote internet fan to see that. You know, everybody knows that you're Vince McMahon's boy. And, you know, is it going to work out for him in the long run? Who knows? But it hasn't worked out the way they had hoped so far. But to buy into this notion that it's Roman versus, you know, the Authority, basically, is, I think, a losing storyline. And if their goal here is to kind of build to SummerSlam with him getting one last chance where he slays the Beast, I think it's going to fall flat on its face. I think they had their shot with him. If they were going to pull the trigger on him, they should have done it at WrestleMania. They didn't do it. And so now we're heading into SummerSlam, and Seth Rollins is just on fire right now. And he's, you know, absolutely the one who I think of the two I would go with, certainly, to be the person to beat Brock and take the championship. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. You know, I want somebody in there at SummerSlam, because here's my fear. I have no desire, like I was saying, to see a repeat of WrestleMania with, let's say, they try Roman Reigns in that spot again, and you have the fans just shitting all over the end of the show. I want somebody in there like a Seth Rollins or like a Braun Strowman, who the fans can genuinely get behind. I want them to be clamoring to see this guy, Brock Lesnar, lose this championship finally. I don't want to see them sitting there indifferent to whether or not the guy wins or loses. Or, you know, we'll just cheer for Brock. We actually are sick of him, but we'll cheer for him because we hate the other guy. You know, that happened at WrestleMania. Do we really need to see a repeat of this again at SummerSlam? Do we really need to see, you know, a repeat of this at their second biggest show of the year? You know, we already had it at the first. That's not what I'm interested in seeing. And with Rollins or Strowman, I'd be fine with either one, but frankly, I think it's better they go with Seth because unlike Strowman, they can go with the story that Brock has never beaten Seth Rollins one-on-one. He's never done it. He almost did at that one pay-per-view a few years ago. And even, honestly, it's so long ago, it almost doesn't even matter now. But, you know, that was when the lights went out, they came back on, Undertaker kicked him in the dick. You know, we've been down this road before. But Rollins is one of the few guys Brock cannot say that he's beaten one-on-one. Can't say that about Strowman. Right? He beat Braun straight up, fair and square, right in the middle of the ring last year in that one match, that one awful match they had. Rollins is the guy for the spot. And Lesnar's run has gone on long enough. You build a run like that to peak with someone who the fans, you know, want to see conquer the champion and claim the title in the end. The time is now. And if Brock does decide to go back to UFC, they're going to have no choice but to take the title off of him anyway. Even if he stays. Even if they throw some of those billions that they're getting from Fox. Because Brock speaks the language of money more than anything else. If they throw enough money at him, they might be able to get him to stay and forego a UFC return. Maybe he'll stay for another 2-3 years. Even if that's the case, they got to get that belt off him ASAP. He is now, to me, Lesnar, if I want to try to think of a modern day equivalence here, he has entered Andre territory. Andre the Giant was an attraction who did not need to be the WWF champion. That's why he only had the belt once. And that was literally for all of 60 seconds or 90 seconds before he surrendered it. I think there was value in putting the championship on Lesnar when they did, when he destroyed John Cena in that one SummerSlam match. That was fun. And they almost had to put the championship on him because they ended the streak, which I still think was a mistake, but they did it. And so how do you go from there? What can you possibly do after breaking The Undertaker's 21-year streak? Well, you put the championship on the guy and you send him on a monster run, which is exactly what they did with him. And I said at the time that, I wasn't a fan of the streak ending, but it made sense. It made sense, and it built with that great moment at WrestleMania where Rollins had the Money in the Bank cash in. That will go down as one of the best WrestleMania endings of all time. So, back then, it made sense to put the title on him. But now it's sort of the law of diminishing returns. Now it's going in the opposite direction, where I think just by virtue of him holding that title and never defending it, it's actually been overtaken by the IC title in terms of value to the Raw brand. If they want to change that, you got to put the title on Rollins. And I think they could do so believably. Yes, Rollins is not, as big and jacked as Brock is. Although, I don't know, lately, Lesnar has not looked all that jacked lately. He's kind of, looks like he's taken a load off. But they can do it believably. Rollins has built a ton of goodwill with the audience. He's done so naturally and organically. And it just opens up the possibility of natural feuds with Dean Ambrose, who's going to be coming back soon, coming out of SummerSlam. That could be a feud right there, especially if Ambrose were to come back as a heel instead of a babyface. Jason Jordan is due back any week now. He's got a history with Seth Rollins. Is it too early for him to be challenging for the championship? Maybe. I certainly wouldn't have him win it, but I also kind of want them to finish what they started between those two. So you can even do something by the end of the year with Rollins and Jordan, even if it's just a one-time only pay-per-view match and Rollins wins and they move on, that's fine. But that's another possibility. Finn Balor is another name, right? Now, we've seen a lot of matches with him and Rollins. To do one more and this time have it be for the championship. You've got the built-in story that Finn never did lose the title. He beat Seth for it, in fact. And then he got hurt, but in the process he got hurt. He had to be stripped of the championship. So you can fall back on that story and have, do one pay-per-view match between them to sort of wrap up that feud. There's a lot of different names that Seth can work with on top as the champion, I think, going into the new year. The one that excites me the most, honestly, isn't any of the ones I mentioned. It's not Ambrose, it's not Jordan, it's not Balor, it's not Roman. It's Drew McIntyre, who, by the end of this year, not only can, he should break away from Dolph Ziggler and set out on his. I mean, I could see this coming from a mile away. Right now, these two are right. They're tight. They're a tag team, and I like what they're doing right now. Honestly, with Ziggler and McIntyre, I think Ziggler is benefiting from it more than anything because Ziggler was dead in the water. At least this is something for him to do, and he can sort of play off this guy. But, I see this getting to a point where, in storyline, McIntyre realizes that I don't need this dead weight anymore, and he obviously unloads that dead weight and sets out on his own. And he could be a babyface, he could be a heel. Right now he's a heel. I think that's fine. I think McIntyre can play it either way, frankly. But the idea that we could potentially get a Seth Rollins-Drew McIntyre feud for the Universal Championship, I think that could be real good. And not only could it be real good, I think, that could be the point that you put the title on McIntyre and give him a chance to run with it. So I look forward and I say to myself, not only who's the right person for that spot, but, who's the right person to feud with all these different people coming out of SummerSlam if they pull the trigger at SummerSlam? And the answer is Seth Rollins. It's right in front of your face. The only question is, does WWE feel the same way? Is it right in front of Vince McMahon's face? Or is he blind? Can he not see this? We'll see.